But sir, we can see the slide, first slide, but your audio is muted.
Okay, now it seems okay. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. We can see the first slide and we can hear you.
So I'm going to start with my second session on investigation on HFO 1234 and substitute HFC separator. You can mute the mic. Okay, so you might be aware that during our earlier days, we were using R12 as a refrigerant in domestic refrigerator. Then we heard about the ozone depletion potential, and because of higher ODP of R12, in the year 2000, we replaced R12 with R134A, which is HFC refrigerant, hydrochlorofluorocarbon HFC refrigerant. And now we caught with another problem of the global warming, and because of the higher global warming potential, once again there is a need to replace the currently used refrigerant, that is R134A or HFC 134A. So quickly, if I talk about my outline of the presentation, first of all we will understand why there is a need to replace the currently used very popular R134A. Then to understand the substitute R134FYF as a refrigerant, we'll start with the history of the refrigerant. Then I will talk regarding the two protocols because of which we are compelled to replace the R134A. Then we will understand the requirement of today's refrigerant in the context of these two protocol as well as the other requirement. Then we'll understand why replacing HFC 134A. Then based on certain number of ozone depletion potential and global warming potential, we have identified certain alternatives, and then with proper justification of various thermophysical properties, we will ultimately reduce to the two options, that is R1234YF and isobutane. At appropriate time, I will justify why we have ultimately reduced to the comparison of only three refrigerant, that is currently used R134A, R1234YF, and the isobutane. Then we will also understand the thermodynamic investigation. The thermodynamic investigation has been carried out based on the 10-point cycle analysis, and the two approaches have been used. The first approach is the capacity, same refrigerating capacity, and in the second approach we will keep the compressor volume same for the comparison of three refrigerant. And finally, with the concept of total equivalent warming impact, we will try to understand why the R1234YF is a good substitute for R134A. Now, before I move to my formal presentation, all are requested to remember few things. Now every time I may not mention R1234YF. Okay, I may simply mention YF. So when I said the refrigerant YF or YF, you need to understand that I'm talking about R1234 YF. Similarly, R134A, I may call sometime it is as 34A or 34A. So you need to understand that I'm talking about R134A. Okay, and then the 600A, that would be very obvious, isobutane. Okay, because these are the three refrigerants that would be discussed at length. Now, quickly we understand the need. Later on I will elaborate why to replace R134A, but quickly, if you understand a broader concept, the context of this particular exercise is that we are facing two major issues, environmental issues. The first is the global warming. Of course, global warming is not only because of this refrigerants, but yes, the refrigerants are one of the 6 major constituents. The first major constituent is CO2. Okay, that of course I elaborated to some extent in yesterday's lecture on collector or on solar energy. So refrigerants are one of the 6 greenhouse gases, and release or loss of refrigerant from the system ultimately increases the greenhouse layer or greenhouse concentration in the atmosphere, and that cause the global warming. The second issue is of ozone depletion potential. Of course, that was a very old issue, and now after 2000 we are not using the refrigerant having any amount of ozone depletion potential. Now we have decided that we will use the only refrigerant which is having the 0 ODP. And in ozone depletion, the fluorine atoms are the major source. There are stringent requirements in a form of Montreal and Kyoto Protocol, and India being a signatory of these two protocols, we are compelled to replace the R134A, and as per the reliable number available in the literature published by various authentic sources, almost 70 to 80% of the domestic refrigerator that is currently working in India right now, they uses R134A. Of course, India has taken a lead in replacing the R134A, and now for last 2 years the refrigerators that are being sold in the market that uses the R600A. But you know that the life of refrigerator could be as long as 15 years, because they are mainly the stationary components are there, and the maintenance is also minimal. So that is the reason that the life could be as long as 15 years. Normally we use the refrigerator for 10 to 15 years. So still in India, almost 70 to 80% of the refrigerators are working on R134A. So if one decide that we will have to use the existing equipment, and suppose tomorrow we decide that we will not use the grace period of a developed country for replacing R134A, but we will move ahead with the schedule of developed country, because our government is very aggressive on that part, and that is the reason that though we are supposed to replace this R134 that is 134A in 2030, the Indian industry has started using the alternate to 134A in 2020, or rather in 2019. So this is some basic information. So I will not devote much time to, these are the fact, and that is the reason that I will not devote much time. But if we quickly zip through the history of refrigerant, during 1800 to 1920, we use the natural refrigerants or industrial chemicals. like methyl chloride, ammonia, CO2, etc. Then in the year 1930, certain chemical companies investigated the methane derivatives and ethane derivatives, and these are the CFCs, that is, they are the chlorofluorocarbons. They came up with the chlorofluorocarbons, and these chlorofluorocarbons had very excellent thermophysical property to work as a refrigerant. For example, the natural refrigerants are having their own problems. Ammonia is toxic, so it cannot be used in a domestic application. CO2, the critical pressure or critical data are very low, so one has to move for a supercritical cycle or transcritical cycle. Of course, transcritical now we are using. At that during those days, one has to go for supercritical. So natural refrigerants had their own limitation, and that is the reason that when the CFCs were invented, like R11, R12, they were immediately absorbed or adopted in the R&D industry. During 1950, another category of the refrigerant, that is hydrochlorofluorocarbon, were invented, or rather they were found out, or they were prepared, and they are still in use. But if you see the problem with CFC, the CFC is having a very high ODP and highest GWP. The HCFC, they are having low ODP, but they have high GWP. So during 1990s, because during the later part of the 19th century, certain scientists revealed that the release of CFC actually depleted the ozone layer in stratosphere. So, and it has very harmful effect on the human being, and because of that, the Montreal Protocol was signed by majority of the country. I will give more information on Montreal Protocol later in this particular presentation, and that is the reason that the search for the substitute for CFC was started, and ultimately the 1990 was a deadline for the developed country, and 2000 was the deadline for the developing country like India to replace the CFC. So eventually the developed and developing countries replaced the CFC in 1990 and 2000 respectively. Now, the further investigation has revealed that HFCs are having zero ODP or no ODP, but they are having very high GWP. And through Kyoto Protocol, it has been decided that after certain time, let's say maybe by 2020 or 2030, we shall not be using the HFCs because of the high GWP, because the release ultimately contribute to the global warming. So there is a need to find out the refrigerant. There is a need to investigate the refrigerant which is having no ODP, that is zero ODP, and very low GWP. The threshold value that was decided by the international treaty or through international treaty is 150 GWP. So there are certain chemicals available in the market like R1234YF, R1234ZE, R449A, R513A, etc. These are the some certain organic chemicals, and once again we have reached to the great olden days where now we are also exploring the industrial chemical. Say, as per my reading and study, the ammonia is the best suitable refrigerant for industrial application. Wherever possible, wherever the use of ammonia is permitted, my evolution on different refrigerant is that, or my evolution on ammonia is that the ammonia should be promoted wherever it is permitted. Ammonia should be used wherever it is permitted. So this is the same things that is given in another way. Here the question is posed whether you will go for hydrocarbon, that is isobutane, or HFO, that is hydrofluoroolefin, that is R134YF. Now let's quickly understand something regarding Montreal and Kyoto Protocol. The Montreal Protocol was adopted in 1987. It was designed with a goal to protect the ozone depletion, and it has a target to phase out the refrigerant which has more than 0 ODP. After 10 years, the Kyoto Protocol was adopted, that is in 1997, with a goal to stabilize the greenhouse gases. That is, the emission of the greenhouse gases is to be reduced to a particular level. Say, there is a difference between two things. We want to completely prevent the ozone depletion, because ozone depletion is not permitted or not desirable at all, and that is possible because the technology is available. While you can understand that there is a normal concentration of 0.03% of CO2 in the atmosphere, which is a major greenhouse gas. Along with that, other 6 gases are there. So, looking to our power requirement, we are not supposed to, or we cannot completely suppress the emission of the greenhouse gases. Okay, we can't say that we will not emit any of the greenhouse gases, because if we decide that we will not emit any of the greenhouse gases, then eventually or indirectly our energy production would be almost zero, because there won't be any automobile on the road, or there won't be majority of the power plant that would be working. So the goal is in a different way, that is to stabilize the greenhouse gases. That means we want to bring the emission of the greenhouse gases to a particular level, and its target, as far as Kyoto Protocol is targeted specifically for the refrigerants, and its target is to phase out the refrigerant having high GWP, and the limit or threshold value, as I mentioned earlier, is the 150 GWP for the refrigerant. Now, with reference to Montreal Protocol, I would like to narrate the statement of Kofi Annan, former Secretary General of United Nations. He mentioned in one of the address that this Montreal Protocol is perhaps the single most successful international agreement to the date, because it is signed by about 199 countries. It is signed by 199 countries. That is perhaps the only treaty proposed by the United Nations and signed by such a big number of countries. Otherwise, you know that there would be many countries in favor of a particular treaty, and there would be certain countries that would be against the treaty. And you know that United Nations is not having any you can say legal binding, or it don't have any, you can say, authority to compel the various countries, the member of the United Nations, to sign a particular treaty. They only can request, and it is left to the various nations that whether they want to sign the treaty or not. Now, if we now evaluate Montreal Protocol in Indian context. These are the general information. Now, if we talk about the Montreal Protocol in Indian context, it is to reduce the greenhouse gas emission by about 11 gigatons of CO2 equivalent per year. Since we are talking about refrigerant, the numbers are given in equivalent to CO2. The India signed this Montreal Protocol on September 17, 1992. And as I mentioned earlier, it is the most successful international environmental treaty, and it is signed by 199 countries. Now, here I have given the summary of phase out year for various category of the country, that is developed and developing country. CFC, the developed country, the target was 1996, for developing 2010. As CFC, it is 2020 for developed country, and for developing country it is 2030, and for HFC, for developed country it is 2030, and for developing country like India it is 2040. But because of the global warming and because of the international understanding, though still we have 10 years for developed country and 20 years for developing country, the developed and developing countries are putting their best effort to minimize or to eliminate the use of HFC. The Kyoto Protocol was adopted in 1997 in the conference of UNFCCC. It covers 6 categories of greenhouse gases emission. The chemical having high GWP but used because of the favorable ODP are covered under this particular Kyoto Protocol. Till date, the Kyoto Protocol is approved by about 77 countries, and India approved the protocol on 20th August 2002. The India is not required to reduce the emission of greenhouse gases under the protocol like developed country. We have a grace period as it is mentioned over here, and that will have advantage that we can transfer the technology from the developed country, and we can promote the energy generation and efficiency projects. Now, these are some of the newspaper clipping where our government has aggressively decided. As I mentioned earlier, the deadline is 2040, but the government has aggressively decided. So this headline says that India resisting American pressure on phasing out the refrigerant gases. But when the government changes, the joint statement of Mr. Modi and Mr. Obama came on HFCs, and they agreed to minimize the use of these greenhouse gases. This is the April 2015 newspaper clipping where it is mentioned that India is reversing its previous position and agreed to phase down the potent climate damage refrigerant HFC as early as possible. Earlier we resisted, but then we agreed in the interest of the environment, and India agreed to phase out HFC gases used in refrigeration in 15 years. That was a headline in April 2015. So India has decided, if you add 15 in 2015, then you can say that, as I mentioned earlier, India has decided to follow. India has decided to follow the what you can say, schedule of the developed country. Schedule of the developed country. So, pardon? Okay. Now let's once again move back to our technical content. There is something regarding the political will, because you know that to implement any of the policies, the political will is equally important. not only the technical potential or technical capability, but the political will is equally important. So that newspaper clipping is just to tell you that there is a political will to replace the high GWP refrigerant like HFCs in line with the time phase of developed countries. Now, what are the requirements of today's refrigerant? The requirements have been categorized into three categories. First is health, safety and environment. So under this category, you can list the certain requirement like the refrigerant should have 0 ODP, it should have low GWP. As I mentioned earlier, the threshold value should be, a threshold value is 150. The refrigerant should be non-toxic, or it should have very low toxicity. It should be non-flammable, or it should have very low flammability. Similarly, under thermal requirement or thermophysical requirement, it should have a high critical point. Since majority of your teachers and others are the PG students, and they must be in a position to justify this requirement. I will not elaborate why high critical point, why low freezing point. I will just quickly narrate, and we will move to the technical content regarding the how we decide the substitute. So the freezing point should be as low as possible. The pressure ratio should be as low as possible. The viscosity should be as low as possible. Thermal conductivity should be as high as possible. And the volume of suction vapor should be low. And COP should be as high as possible. Under the chemical requirement, we should have satisfactory oil solubility or miscibility. In domestic refrigerator, we use hermetically sealed compressor. So the refrigerant should have high dielectric strength. The refrigerant should be easily detected in case of leak, and it should be compatible with the commonly used material of construction. Okay. Now, why replacing R134A? Now, from this point further, I have once again introduced R12. You might be thinking that we have replaced the R12 before 20 years, and why now after 20 years I have been talking about the R12. But our logic or our argument to bring once again the R12 over here, specifically in later discussion, when we compare the thermophysical properties of various alternatives of 34A, we will also present the property of R12, because we need to understand that R12 was successful refrigerant. I repeat, we need to understand that R12 was successful refrigerant for more than 7 decades for domestic refrigerator. So indirectly we are in a search of replacement of R12. Intermediate substitute was there. We can think in a different way that we want to replace R12. There was some intermediate replacement in form of R134A, but originally R12 was the king, was widely used for more than 7 decades. Okay, and some interesting fact I will present when we will compare R12, R134A and R1234YF. So the fact is that R134A has replaced R12 after Montreal Protocol. In India, as I mentioned earlier, about 70 to 80% of domestic refrigerators are charged by 34A. Not only in refrigerator, whatever we discuss today, it is equally applicable. Of course, today our discussion in our case study is for domestic refrigerator, but the context is equally important for the car air conditioner and water cooler, because the car air conditioner and water cooler also uses R134A. If you understood the Montreal and Kyoto Protocol carefully, the Montreal Protocol permits the use of R134A and Kyoto Protocol prevent the use of R134A. So we can say that the 34A is caught between the two protocols. And one important statement that is made by ISHRE and ASHRE is that the environmental parameters are more critical than traditional thermophysical parameter for choice of refrigerant. I will elaborate this particular statement as and when required at appropriate place. But ISHRE and ASHRE mention that the environment should be protected. The priority should be given to environmental parameters like GWP and ODP rather than traditional fundamental of thermophysical property that we learn or that we implement for the choice of refrigerant. The fact regarding R12, R22 and R134A with reference to ODP and GWP and Montreal Kyoto protocols are given over here. And the slides, this table indicate that the R134A is caught between Montreal and Kyoto protocol. Is GWP earlier, of course, that number was also revised by the scientific community. Earlier, this number was around 1470. Now that number is revised to 1300. So in many of the literature, old literature, you will find this GWP of R134A equal to 1470 or like that. Now this revised number is 1300. Now this is the facts and figure regarding certain environmental legislation. The majority of the legislation we have already discussed, like Montreal Protocol, Kyoto Protocol, then UN 517/2014 protocol, that is very much similar to the earlier two. The Paris Agreement was also not so popular. Yes, but the Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol, the Kigali Amendment to Montreal Protocol was very important, where the revised timeline, where the revised time frame, earlier it was 2030 and 2040, that time frame was revised. For Indian context, if we can understand that India will start phasing out HFC by 2028 and reduce it to 15% of the 2024 and 2026 level till 2047. I hope you can understand the meaning of that. That gradually we will start phasing out the HFC by 2028, and by 2040, that means in next 2 decades, we will bring the greenhouse emission to the level of 15% of 2024 and 2026. So that is the reason I mentioned earlier that it is not possible to completely eliminate the emission of greenhouse gases, because it will stop the development or even the operation of the country. Then before we move further on thermodynamic investigation on various substitute, one need to understand very important document published by the ISHRE, which is the most reputed society as far as refrigeration air conditioning is concerned, as far as India is concerned. And as per this particular document, that document is available in open domain. If you can search the position document on refrigerant, you will find this particular document. So the summary of the document is given over here. Sector wise, it gives the substitute or recommendation for 3 category. For domestic refrigerator, the currently used refrigerants are 34A and isobutane. The low GWP refrigerant that is identified by ISHRE is 600A, YF and ZE. And ISHRE has presently recommended R600A, and that could be the reason that all new refrigerators are now come up with R600A. But 600A is having its own merits and demerits. Similarly, for room air conditioner, the currently used refrigerants are R22, R410 and R32. The alternate that is proposed is R410, but that is also having the GWP problems, and the low GWP refrigerant that is proposed is R290, that is propane, and R446A, and the ISHRE recommend R290 and R32. For mobile AC, that is car and van, the currently used refrigerant is R134A. Low GWP refrigerant that is proposed is R1234YF, and ISHRE assessment is also R1234YF. So if you refer the last column, some of you might be thinking that why the ISHRE has proposed 2 different refrigerant for domestic refrigerator and mobile air conditioner, where presently the same refrigerant is used, R134 is used for both the applications. The reason is very obvious, that in mobile air conditioner, the refrigeration system is operated very close to high temperature engine, and R600A is very flammable. You know that it's a hydrocarbon, and hydrocarbons are very flammable. So because of the safety issue, the ISHRE has proposed completely non-flammable or less flammable refrigerant R1234YF in mobile air conditioner, while based on the charge quantity and the leak-proof system, ISHRE recommended R600A for domestic refrigerator. Now let's understand the possible alternatives for R134A. So obviously our first requirement would be the 0 ODP. Our first requirement would be 0 ODP. So we have identified about 11 refrigerant, of course including R134A. So we identified 10 substitutes, and 11th is the R134A, which is having 0 ODP. So this is a list of those 11 refrigerant. So this is the first screening or first evaluation of possible alternative to R134A. Now, if we tabulate the the global warming potential, the global warming potential of those 11 refrigerant are presented over here, and as per the threshold value of 150, the 3 refrigerants, that is R404A, R407C and R410A, cannot be considered for further investigation because they have a higher GWP. Even their GWP is more than currently used R134A. So let's move ahead with this 7 substitutes or total comparison of 8 refrigerants. So then the second important thing is that the refrigerant that we use should be safe. The refrigerant that we use should be safe. So then in this particular slide we have tabulated the toxicity and flammability, the two parameters which comes under the safety. So ASHRAE safety class is given for this refrigerant. These have been shortlisted, and we can see that R290, R430A, R436 and R600, they are highly flammable. All are low toxic. So based on the toxicity, any of the 8 refrigerant, that is any of the 7 substitute can be considered. But based on the flammability, when we use the hydrocarbons, we should be very careful. And here it is worth to understand the statement given by Mr. Dennis Dorman, who is chair of Standard 15 committee. He said that the class 2L refrigerant, would be or would need to be treated more likely as class 1 rather than class 2 or class 3. Class 1, that means less toxic. Class 2 and class 3, A2 and A3, they are having comparatively higher flammability. So this YF and ZE, they comes under the category of A2L, that is 2L. They are flammable, but the flammability value is not so high. So the YF and ZE could be considered equivalent to 34A as far as flammability is concerned. So that is the reason that this YF could be possible alternatives based on the flammability. One more parameter that is very important is atmospheric life. That is the chemical decompose in certain duration. So if R134 is released in atmosphere, it will stay as R134A in atmosphere for 14 years. Similarly, YF just stay there as YF for 11 days, while isobutane, last one, okay, that stays as isobutane for about 4 years. Lubricating oil miscibility informations are given over here. Of course, when we moved from R12 to R134A, we were required to change the lubricating oil because of the different requirements of R12 and R134A. Presently, we are using polyester oil for R134A, and YF is also compatible with the same. But suppose you want to use isobutane, then once again we have to move to the mineral oil or the alkali benzene. So if you substitute or if you retrofit the system with isobutane, you have to first change the lubricating oil. While for YF, you need not to do anything as far as lubricating oil is concerned. Now, if we compare freezing and critical point data for this 8 refrigerants, you can see that the freezing point of all the refrigerant is well below minus 25 degrees centigrade. Here the 2 bar of minus 25 degrees centigrade and 50 degrees centigrade is drawn because normally in domestic refrigerator the evaporator temperature is in the range of minus 25 to minus 30 degrees centigrade. Okay, so you know that the freezing point of the refrigerant should be well below your required temperature, so that you can see that the temperature of all the 8 refrigerant is well below our required temperature. Similarly, the critical point should be as high as possible. So normally the condenser temperature is in the range of 50-55 degrees centigrade in domestic refrigerator as we use the air cooled condenser. And we know that our critical pressure should be well above our condenser pressure. So you can see that here the critical pressure is also well above the condenser pressure. Certain numbers are also given over here. At 55 degrees centigrade, the value for condenser pressure for various refrigerant is tabulated over here, and compared to that the critical pressure numbers are also given. So those who are comfortable with the pH diagram of various refrigerant, they can easily understand that this condenser line, the constant condenser pressure line is well below the critical pressure line. So these refrigerants are okay as far as further investigation is concerned. Now, based on the normal boiling point, and based on the various analysis that we have done up to this particular slide, we thought that there is no point in comparing all the 7 alternatives for further investigation. The literature suggests that for first evolution, a normal boiling point could be a single parameter to decide the substitute. It means that suppose you want to substitute R134A, the substitute would have or should have normal boiling point very close to it. If your normal boiling point is matching, normally through various research paper, it can be concluded that other property will also more or less would be matching. So based on the literature, based on that particular fact, once again that means further investigation was done. Though the normal boiling point of isobutane is not matching, but since it is recommended by ISHRE, we did the analysis or we did the comparison for R600A. Okay, so now henceforth we will talk about only 4 refrigerant, and apart from the 2 substitute, we bring here R12 also, because of certain reason that I will explain time to time. Now, as I mentioned earlier, for any refrigerant to be suitable as substitute for another, it must have similar vapor pressure. In other words, it should have similar normal boiling point and specific volume. These are the 2 requirements. If these 2 requirements, main requirement is this similar vapor pressure, that is normal boiling point. Another requirement is specific volume. And if you plot the graph of saturation temperature versus saturation or vapor pressure, the curve of YF is very close to R134A compared to isobutane, and also of R12 that indicate that similar thermodynamic property and possibility of direct substitute. Now here, this is the reason we have brought the R12 into picture. At minus 25 degrees centigrade, if you refer the vapor pressure of R134A, it is 1.064 bar. It is slightly less than the atmospheric pressure, while that of YF is 1.2286 bar and that of R12 is 1.235 bar. So that is the reason you can see that these 2 temperatures are these vapor pressures are very close to each other. So the vapor pressure of YF is very close to R12 than R134A, and that is the reason that we change the context. We change the context, we change the paradigm of thinking that we are substituting R134A with YF. We thought that we are replacing R12 with YF, where R134A was intermediate substitute. Of course, when we thought like that, we are moving little away from the concept of retrofitting, because retrofitting is to be done with R134A. But if you talk about the implementation of the refrigerant in newer technologies or with newer technologies, the technology of R12 was already available. So that data is already documented. So with that data, the equal efficient system could be designed with R134YF. You can see that the vapor pressure of isobutane is very low. That means the evaporator will be operated under highly vacuum, and the vapor pressure, that is condenser pressure, at 55 degrees centigrade is tabulated. Here, of course, the more focus is to be given on this evaporator pressure. The another property that we need to evaluate is the liquid density, because the liquid density will decide the mass flow rate. The liquid density of R600A is very less, while that of YF is very close to R134A. And because of lower density, the mass flow rate of refrigerant for same capacity for R600 would be very less, and that lead to major modification. We will see the effect of this lower density with certain number when we make the thermodynamic analysis. These are the values of pressure ratio versus evaporating temperature. If we stick to our present number of minus 25 degrees centigrade as evaporator temperature, the pressure ratio for 134A is 17.55, while the pressure ratio reduces for YF, while that increases for the isobutane, and that number was very much similar to YF for R12. So you can see that this comparison, like this comparison, then this comparison, basically tells you, okay, this comparisons basically tells you that the certain thermophysical property of R123 or YF is very close to R12. Okay, so when we move from 12 to 34, we actually lost certain efficiency, and that efficiency was recovered while designing efficient devices. Once again, if you move from 34A to YF, initially there would be some loss in efficiency in retrofitting, but once again we redesign, and the redesign will give you the confident based on such similar number, because for R12 the design is already available, as I mentioned earlier. Okay, so now these numbers are calculated for condenser temperature of 55 degrees centigrade, pressure drop in evaporator 0.5, pressure drop in suction valve is 0.1, and pressure drop in discharge valve is 0.25. Now these numbers are not randomly taken. These numbers are taken based on the 10-point cycle analysis as per the Bureau of Indian Standard. That we will discuss in a short while. The fact is that as pressure ratio increases, both isentropic efficiency and COP decreases. We can see that this pressure ratio for 600 is very high. and the pressure ratio curve for YF is close in range of the same compressor, that of R134A. If we compare the liquid viscosity, the YF properties are very much similar to the 134A, and the viscosity is very much important as far as pressure drop is concerned. Now, looking to the time constraint, I will quickly giving you the idea regarding thermodynamic investigation. I'm not once again mentioning all this number directly, indirectly I mentioned earlier. For your information, we have also done the experimental investigation, but because of the time constraint, I'm not going to present the results of the experimental investigation. I will just going to present the result of the thermodynamic investigation, and based on the thermodynamic investigation, we will make the conclusion about the suitability of YF as a replacement to 34A. Now, what we did in thermodynamic investigation, we used the 10 state point VCR cycle for domestic refrigerator. It is also recommended by Bureau of Indian Standard. It is as per the BIS. We need to select a particular refrigerator, and we need to give the input parameter based on the refrigerator that is selected, and we can select certain design conditions, but the majority of the design conditions are fixed when we say we use the 10 state point cycle. Now we have done the calculation based on two approaches. The first approach is we have kept the cooling capacity same. So when we keep the cooling capacity same, depending upon the thermophysical property, the compressor size may be different. So that will give you an idea that if you want to use the same refrigerator for same cooling capacity, what should be the new size of the compressor. The second approach is, suppose you don't want to change the compressor, and if you want to use the same compressor in domestic refrigerator, and you want to simply drop in the new refrigerant like either butane or YF, what would be the loss in performance? What would be the loss in efficiency? That one can predict based on the second approach. Now this is the 10-point cycle. This is the 10-point cycle where state 1 is at inlet to compressor. We could have polytropic or isentropic compression. 2 and to 3 or 2 to 3 is pressure drop in delivery valve. You know that since the vapor are very hot and the volume is of course because of that high temperature, the volume could be higher, and that is the reason that pressure drop that is considered in discharge valve is very high, also in discharge line also, because it is a vapor. So pressure drop is very high in discharge line also. Then 3 to 4 condensation, and that condensation continues up to 0.6. So there would be saturated liquid state, and then there would be some subcooling because ambient temperature for the majority of period is less than 43 degrees centigrade. So as per 10-point standard cycle, the refrigerant leaving the condenser would be 43. Then the process 6 to 7 is applicable if you have a suction to liquid heat exchanger or you have a regenerator. Okay, so in that regenerator, the liquid is cooled from 6 to 7 and the vapor is heated. The vapor is heated from 9 to 10. 7 to 8, there is a throttling, so that is an isenthalpic process to minus 25 degrees centigrade. and then this 8 to 9 is the evaporation. You can see that the pressure drop in condenser is negligible while the pressure drop in evaporator is significant. I will not elaborate, but I will just recall that in evaporator, the frictional as well as momentum pressure drop both are positive, while in case of condenser, the frictional pressure drop is positive while the momentum pressure drop is negative. That means there is a momentum gain because of the condensation of the liquid. So that is the reason that the condenser pressure drop is almost negligible while there is a sufficient or significant pressure drop in an evaporator. And that is the reason that the condenser could be oversized, but normally the evaporators are not oversized in domestic refrigerator or even in any of the refrigeration system. So the thermodynamic investigation has been done for a Samsung make RT31M model refrigerator. By contacting the manufacturers, we got certain informations regarding the compressor. Of course, certain information is also available on the compressor, but not all. So you have to contact either compressor manufacturers or the refrigerator manufacturers to get certain detail. So it's a 310 liter refrigerator having compressor capacity of 175 watt, and these are certain number based on 10-point cycle, and its rotational speed is 2090 rpm and works on Indian conditions. So 210 to 250 volt input and 50 hertz frequency. Now for the given condition, the pressure at inlet to evaporator, pressure at inlet to compressor, pressure at inlet to discharge line, pressure at outlet to compressor, pressure ratio and polytropic index. These numbers are calculated and which are present over here. Here you can see that the pressure at inlet to evaporator, earlier also I mentioned, is well below atmospheric. So in case of leak, there is a possibility of drawing the contamination within the system. Okay. So what is the meaning of that? If there is a leakage in YF system and if you timely detect the leak and prevent the leak, you need not to replace the complete refrigerant, because since the pressure is high, there is no possibility that the outside air will draw into the system because the system pressure is higher than the atmospheric pressure. Why? In case of leak in R600 system, as soon as leak will be there, the atmospheric air will rush into the system, and before you repair, there may be damage to certain compound also, because if the atmospheric air is you can say drawing into the system, and if it is a monsoon condition, then it may damage the compressor valve also, because that in monsoon the humidity is very high, so that moisture is going to be condensed. Eventually it is going to be freeze because your temperature is very low. Okay, and it can damage the system. That possibility is very rare in case of YF system. Now for same refrigeration capacity, we have presented certain number over here. What is more important, this you can calculate from the pH diagram. I am not going to mention each and every number over here. What is important to us is the refrigerant effect, unit refrigerant effect. For R134A it is 140 kilojoule per kilogram, for isobutane it is 214, and for YF it is 103.35. Of course we are talking about same capacity, so accordingly the mass flow rate would change. So as I mentioned earlier, because of the liquid density, because the liquid density is very low for isobutane, the mass flow rate is also very low. So you have to, based on the mass flow rate also, you have to make major modification into the system. while this mass flow rate is not different but not far to each other for R34YF and R134A. And COP is almost same. COP is almost same for same refrigeration capacity. But now let's see what you need to do to get the same refrigeration capacity. For same refrigeration capacity, the specific vapor volume at suction, these numbers are very close to each other for 34 and YF, while this number is very, very far. The specific volume is very high for isobutane, and because of that, the displacement volume of the compressor is pretty high. That means if you want to get the same cooling capacity, if you want to get same refrigeration capacity, we have to replace the compressor, because this is almost 1.5 times then this particular. Of course, the original dimension is 6.2 liters. This is thermodynamic analysis, so some loss would be there in actual calculation. So actual compressor is having capacity of 6.2 liters. I don't know whether I have mentioned somewhere or not, but anyway, this is actually, it is 6.2 liters. And what you required for YF is slightly higher. So this two numbers will tell you that retrofitting is possible. While this number tells you that you have to entirely change the compressor. Not only the oil, but you also have to change the compressor. Now what if you are using the same compressor? As I mentioned earlier, the refrigerator that was chosen for the study is having the compressor volume of 6.2 liters. So for the same compressor, the refrigerant mass flow rate would be significantly lower. In case of R600A, and accordingly, if you calculate the refrigerant capacity, it would be 177 watt. So you can see that it is matching with our original specification given by the manufacturer. It is 175 watt. What you get with isobutane is 109 watt only, and for YF it is 155. So there is reduction in capacity for isobutane is 37.5%, and reduction in capacity for YF is 11.5%. So though ISRE recommended R600, our recommendation for existing equipment is YF, because the bigger size compressor also increases the cost. Bigger size means you are increasing the cost, you are operating the evaporator in vacuum, so in case of leakage there is a chance of contamination. Also 600 is a highly flammable. 600 is coming under the category 1. Okay, so these are the demerits of R600, and that is the reason we advocate the use of YF. So if we conclude, the thermodynamic investigation, we can say that the COP reduces by 7.22 and 8.33% respectively for YF and 600A, but the compressor size increase is just 4.9, that is about 5% for 134 YF, while the compressor size is almost 1.5 times or 1.6 times higher for 600. So that is a major change or major requirement of the compressor change in case of 600A, if you want to use 600A. And for producing same refrigerating capacity, 600A requires 43% less fluid charge. So charge is less, and 134 YF require the almost same charge. But remember, when your charge is less, in existing system, your flow property, of course I have not touched over here, I will just mention. Those who are interested, they can note down and they can read further. Say, you might be thinking that R600 requires 43% less fluid charge. So fluid is the amount of refrigerant requirement is less. Yes, it is a plus point. But remember, if you want to use R600 as a drop-in substitute, this less refrigerant charge eventually reduces the flow properties, eventually reduces the flow numbers in evaporator and condenser, and that is the reason that you have to redesign even condenser and evaporator, because when your flow property changes in evaporator and condenser, you would understand that your heat transfer coefficient changes on refrigerant side, and when the heat transfer coefficient changes on refrigerant side, your area requirement of condenser evaporator also changes. So it is easy to understand or easy to mention that the fluid charge is less, so the advantage is, but it is disadvantage if you want to use the existing system. And for same compressor size, the cooling capacity for 600A is almost 40% lower, while the reduction in capacity is just about 12% for YF. So from this conclusion, many argue that why to have a loss of 11%, why to have a loss of 12%. But as I mentioned earlier, Ishra and Ashray says that your environmental factor is dominant rather than thermophysical property and thermal and only the performance. Okay. So now through the concept of total equivalent warming impact, we will try to understand that though the performance of refrigerator with YF slightly deteriorates or deteriorates by 12%, overall its performance is comparable, or rather slightly better than R134A. So what is TWI? It's a sum of direct and indirect emission. Now I'm not going to mention each and every term of direct and indirect emission, but you know that the direct emission depends upon the GWP, refrigerant charge, system operating life, and the annual leakage, plus your recovery factor, and indirect emission depends upon your power consumption. Okay, and for the same case of 175 watt cooling capacity compressor, if we compare the TEVI for R134A and R1234 YF, the GWP of 134A is 1300 CO2 equivalent in 100 years of time frame, while for YF it is just 1. Refrigerant charge is 167 grams for 34 refrigerator, and it would be 170 for YF refrigerator. Assuming same service life of 10 years, assuming same leakage rate, assuming same recovery factor of 0.6, the direct emission could be calculated using earlier formula. The direct emission could be calculated as 101.5 CO2 equivalent. Why? The direct emission would be just, since the GWP is less, the direct emission would be just 0.1 CO2 equivalent. For the cooling capacity of 175 watt, the power consumption of compressor would be just 97 watt for 34A. For YF, it could be computed as 105. Approximately the refrigerator runs for 40% of the time during the daytime. The percentage running time, if you perform the experiment on percentage running time for whole day, not for a daytime, for whole day, because during night time the percentage running time is very less, because we are not operating, the door opening is almost zero, the ambient temperature is very low, so average percentage running time is 40%. So keeping the same percentage running time, 24 into 40, that is 9.6 hours. The annual energy consumption is 340 unit per kilowatt hour for 34A and 368 for 34YF. Keeping the indirect emission factor, of course, that is the standard number given by the researchers, that is 0.32. Okay, so indirect emission would be around 1088 CO2 equivalent for YF for 34A, and that would be higher because the COP is lower and power consumption is higher. So this indirect emission for YF is higher, but the total, if you do the summation, the TEV of YF is 99%. It is less by certain number, it is almost equal. So almost 99% of that of the 134A. So based on the TEV calculation, the TEV value of YF is less than that of the R134A, and that actually justify the substitution of 34A by 134YF. So it is almost 5 o'clock, but since we started 10 minutes late, we can extend up to 5:10 to take up certain question answers. So with that I stop here. If you any doubt, any question, you can ask. Yes, any question? So same principle, if there won't be any question for next 30 seconds, I will assume that everything is understood and I will close the session.
Thank you very much, Bert sir, for a wonderful informative session. With this, we are closing for today. Participants,
Okay,
we are
thank you
meeting
all the.
tomorrow 11.
Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you, sir.